Good evening, everyone. I hope you are well. As you may have seen from my little trailer I posted earlier on, it just seems that Labour lunacy knows no bounds. So, first of all, in just over 2 weeks, they have scrapped the Rwanda plan. Ridiculous as it may or may not have been, it was all we had for those who couldn't be sent back to where they came from, either because we don't know where they came from or because the countries that they do come from, even if we could establish that, are not countries that we could deal with, like Iran or Afghanistan, etc. So, in that respect, Rwanda did make sense. They scrapped that. Today, they announced that they are going to scrap the Bibby Stockholm barge, I believe from January in the new year, just a few months away, really. And then it has been, I don't know what the correct term would be, whether it's spin doctoring, whether it's testing the water, whether it's just literally that they are so arrogant that they're basically telling us. But they're, as you know, there's up to 90,000 criminals, and they are criminals. They entered this country illegally, which is a crime. So someone who commits a crime is a criminal. I don't understand why these lefties don't like them termed. They are criminals who have enjoyed being hosted in hotels and treated to expenses and phones and God knows what, while people in this country are struggling with a cost of living crisis or even homeless or uh, any number of other issues that they are having. Um, our children are being taken to casualty to have teeth pulled out, and yet these people have access to doctors, to dentists, to phones, you name it. It's an insult. And now suddenly they're scrapping Rwanda, shutting down the Bibby Stockholm, and they're going to allow all of these people to claim asylum. Ergo, they're all staying here. They are all going to be released into the community. Um, and as that very brave Polish woman said in the EU Parliament last week, I did post it a clip of her in a previous stream. She said, "I hold you responsible for every rape, every attack, and every problem because they are allowing these savages to run riot in our country. And I don't care if people don't like being told the truth. I'm saying it as it is because this is where we're at. And now, today, we hear that they're saying that there isn't enough room for these people and that the British public should take them into their own home. That is the last straw. Even the mere suggestion of it offends me and should offend every person in this country. And I don't think that we should take an attitude of let's sit back and see what happens, or it won't happen, because if we do not react, and when I say react, I am talking a reaction that they have not even seen in their worst nightmares, then who knows what measures they will bring in to try and force these people on us. If you've been following me, you'll know that I have mentioned previously during the height of the migration into the EU after Merkel decided to open her big mouth, there was a province in Germany where they actually were enforcing the migrants onto anyone who had a spare room. I remember it. I know it being reported. I remember it all happening, but it went badly wrong for all of the reasons that I'm sure you can guess. And it was quietly and quickly withdrawn. But here's what's interesting: every single reference to it online has disappeared because mainstream media didn't report it, so they didn't have to remove anything. It was only reports on the fringes that mentioned it, and they've all disappeared. There's absolutely no mention of it anywhere. So if you do find anything, please let me know because I would be interested to hear more about it. And I am asking continually, see if I strike lucky and find somebody who has any first-hand experience. We cannot allow this in our country. And I, for one, am more than happy to begin a campaign for petitions in this constituency or in this county, along with other people who feel equally strong. And I believe that anybody who does feel strongly about this throughout the country should replicate this. We need to let them know that we are not going to let these morons who have 33% of the votes, 67% of those who voted do not want them. Borderline, give or take 80% of the population do not want these people. In their first 2 weeks, they have shown that they are not capable of managing this country. They have shown that everything they are doing is based on spite and their own personal wishes. They are dragging us kicking and screaming back into the EU. In fact, only today they signed an agreement. I was going to have it ready to show to you, but I forgot. But I'll post it afterwards, so that perhaps in the comments, so that you can see it. So this is the first step. Yes, the law that was signed today is something to do with orders granted in EU being valid here. So effectively, that's the thin end of the wedge. So if they want to get you in one part of Europe, it's going to apply to the UK and vice versa. And although people may think, well, good, it's focused about crime, do you think these people are really interested in catching somebody who's committed a crime, even knife crime? They're more concerned about somebody who's said something that they don't like on Twitter, to be honest. So there we go. So be it. I don't know what the situation will be in a few months' time. But if we do not act now, then they may very well enforce this on us, and that is absolutely disgraceful. And add to that this video that has just been circulated in the last day or so of this councillor in Berkshire gleeful at the prospect of having converted an office block into luxury apartments for you know who. Yes, you've guessed it. Take a look at this.
So this used to be our offices. We used to have an office here for some of the social workers, but now, because it was redundant, we've actually turned it into some converted flats. These flats are amazingly finished out. They've got some beautiful carpets, they've got all fitted units, and 4 of them are actually 3-bedroom. So we've got 4 3-bedroom and 1 bedroom. These are going to be for both Afghan, Ukrainian, and also some of the people who are actually currently in our temporary accommodation. This is great for them because at the moment they're living in hostels and hotels, and we don't want that to happen in West Berkshire. So to get them into actually these sorts of accommodations, and such a lovely finish as well. It's beautiful. If you can look around, you can see the light in here. It's amazing. And we've got heat source pumps and actually proper cool radiators, heated radiators in the bathrooms, showers and baths. It's a really lovely finish. And we're going to have EV charging points outside for the car parking, which is, again, you know, the latest innovations.
Doesn't that make you sick? If anybody knows where this block of flats is, I'd like to take note, and I'd like to go back in a year or two and see what state it will be in then. So these flats, she's proudly championing them, and even more annoying, she's very proud of the fact of that they are going to be offered to migrants only. So people who live here, people who are struggling with homes, can't get it, are now being leapfrogged by criminals, people who have no reason to be here. I can't, for the main part, count Ukrainians within that, but again, we cannot house the population of the world if we have enough problems with housing as it is. And as I said previously, we don't have a housing crisis, we have a population crisis. And once Starmer signs this agreement with the EU, who he's desperate to become all pally-pally with, to take their quota of migrants. Now, those migrants, the quota, again, will be illegal migrants. Those arriving by boats on the coast of southern Europe are, for the main part, illegal immigrants. They are elbowing their way into Europe, and Europe doesn't know how to stop the tide that it has started. And once he puts in place an agreement for us to take a portion of those illegal migrants, then in the first year it could be 50 or 100,000, but by year 3 it will be double or triple that, or who knows. It's not that long ago that we were being told that migration would go from 2 or 300,000 down to tens of thousands, and now it is over the million. And that's what we know of. How many people are wandering around that have got here illegally that we don't know about? How many left wing facilitators are there out there who cover up the fact that they're here, how they got here, why they're here, the crimes that they have committed? And we are at the point where our media has resorted to victim blaming in order to cover up for the behavior of many of these people who arrive in this country. But just the suggestion of putting them into people's houses must raise alarm bells with every single one of you, wherever you are, because these people are operating politics of envy, politics of resentment. If you are older and you have a larger house and you're alone, or there's just two of you, what measures will they go to? What lengths will they go to push you out of your home? If you're somebody who lives in social housing, whether it's through a housing association or if you live in one of the last remaining council houses, and perhaps you were widowed a few years ago and you're on your own in a 2 or 3 bedroom semi that you've lived there for 40 or 50 years or more, how many of you are going to effectively be marched out of your home to make way for these people who are so entitled that that is what they're demanding? They are basically getting off boats and they are demanding that these people make way for them because they want to get into these houses and breed and replicate so that they can enforce their culture on the rest of us. And people here are facilitating this. And this needs to stop because we are reaching a tipping point where it is going to become not just increasingly harder to object to this, but it's going to become increasingly illegal to raise a voice of objection to any of this that is happening, not just here, but throughout all of Europe. Things are not as they seem throughout Europe, especially in Germany, that has been very quiet lately. You may have noticed that we're not really seeing a lot of footage from inner cities in Germany. That is because, where the migrants are concerned anyway, Germany has taken a turn for the worst because the people have had enough. And Paris, we're seeing quite a lot of what is going on there for the moment. That's just in the capital, let alone all of the other cities that are basically turning into ghettos where local people are finding themselves hounded, bullied, robbed, attacked by these migrants who feel that they are entitled to just attack and take anything that they want. This is an invasion, and this is demographic genocide. And anybody who thinks otherwise needs to seriously wake up, because unfortunately, we have people in all different positions who are encouraging this and justifying it and then covering up the damage that they have caused. And one of the reasons that I do want to see a petition, people raise teams to petition against this, is because I'd like a register of objectors and facilitators. And I'd like to know the address of every single person who refuses to sign a petition against this reckless and its sinister policy from the Labour Party should it ever be implemented, because this is putting everyday people in danger, and it is an insult to the hardworking people of this country that we have criminals arrive here who are put up in hotels. No matter what we do for them, it's never enough. It never will be enough, because they are not here to make friends with you. They are not here to integrate. They have been sent here they have been helped to get here. They are invited to get here, and they are helped along when they are here to actually change our demographic structure forever. Let me just go to questions now. This is from Old School Pete. They say it's tribulation that the English speaking world are about the lost tribe of the lineage of Jacob. This is why our own betray us. They have been co opted into bringing forth prophecy. I think that there's definitely evidence that these people arriving here or making their way here are being organized, because we are, or I have seen footage of them on the southern shores of Europe, or even before they depart, being helped out, given phones. How do these people who effectively have nothing and they've come from a war zone, how do they actually get here with a new phone? And if they've been sleeping rough in Calais or wherever they are before they depart, how is it that their phones are not flat when they're crossing on boats? How is it that they're able to take videos of themselves getting on these dinghies, getting off these dinghies? Why aren't their batteries flat? Where have they been staying? Who's been helping them? How have they charged their phones? And on top of this, there can be many arguments about who's helping them and how. That at this point, I'm afraid to say that's just conjecture, but we are seeing an exponential increase in the numbers coming through Belarus to Poland. And they have become such a problem that they are actually now, or they have been for the last few weeks, if not months, actually throwing missiles over the border, spears. And a couple of weeks ago, a Polish border guard was killed. And this actually resulted in the Polish parliament passing a law allowing border guards to shoot invading migrants with live rounds. It's their country, their border, they have a right to defend it. But these people coming through Belarus could indicate that Belarus and or Russia are facilitating this movement of people in an effort to just destroy our society for us. But I don't think it's just one group, one political objective, be it political or religious. I think there are many objectives. We've got people who arrive here in a religious war. I won't narrow it down other than they're diverse. And when they arrive here, they are here to destroy our culture, to go for young girls, to go for women, to claim as much as they can, to multiply. That is their objective. Many people ask, if they don't like this country so much, why do they come here? That's precisely why they are here. That's one section. We then have another section who are little more than parasites, scavengers who are making their way here to just take as much as they possibly can. And on the other hand, it seems that there may be political forces at play who are literally organizing and directing and facilitating these people to make their way to Europe. I believe it's not just one source. I believe this is a multi-headed monster that is descending on our Europe with the intention of destroying it. Another question. Indian Mastiff, no way I want another election. We have been mugged. Well, if you're watching what they're doing, they have already set about to neuter elections, because what they are doing is effectively they are going to pass off more and more power from Parliament to their Quango friends, to different departments, to make Parliament less and less relevant. It is effectively cutting off the head by neutering government, so that in future it will be very, very difficult to function in a way that would contradict the narrative, because they have got their traitors in place in the media, in the civil service, in different parts of government, people behind the scenes who are little more than servants of treason against this country, and we know that for a fact. But at the same time, their contempt for our society, for our culture, is such that they will go to any lengths to destroy as much as possible in as little time as they possibly can. You may have noticed that they seem to have this sense of urgency to get on with things, but everything they're getting on with is destructive. We've heard this nonsense from Angela Rayner that she's going to build 1.5 million homes on green belts, which I completely disagree with. I believe that we've lost enough farmland and we must not allow a single field to be taken out of use. We are losing far too much farmland. So I am of the opinion that anywhere that they even hint about building, then everyone in that area should be up in arms and do everything to stop them. But I do believe, I do have to agree with what Kemi said in Parliament, was it yesterday or the day before, that Angela Rayner has been set up, because Keir Starmer doesn't want her there. She's a liability. She really is not material to be deputy leader of the government of the United Kingdom, not somebody who speaks the way that she does, not her accent, it's the words and the rubbish that comes out of her mouth. So they have literally crowned her with a poison chalice. 1.5 million homes in 5 years, 800 homes a week. They've been in power over 2 weeks. So they're pushing a 2,000 home backlog already, and they haven't started. So they G'd her up with this poison chalice and told her to go sell it to everyone, which she has done. And I think her face, when Kemi was pointing this out to her, did actually confirm that she realizes that she has accepted a poison chalice and it's going to be very difficult for her to get out of it. And the longer she leaves it to dispute the prospect of being able to build these houses, then the bigger the problem will be, and she won't be able to get out of it without resigning. That's how it appears. But going back to building on Greenbelt, nothing should be built on Greenbelt. We should not be losing Greenbelt land or farmland to either more housing or solar farms or wind farms. There is enough capacity in this country on brownfield sites for between 1.2 million, that's the minimum, up to if not realistic, slightly optimistic, 2 million, somewhere there. Plus the fact that there are 670,000 empty homes throughout the UK. We need a change in policy so that overseas investors can't just buy up property and leave it empty to park their money. Yes, they can invest, but if they're going to invest in the UK in property, it must be to generate property, not just to hog it and keep other people out. That is a very, very simple thing to change, because it can be done with a stick and carrot, incentives and laws. And the next thing you know, they're selling and investing in building, developing and redeveloping houses and developments on brownfield sites that would benefit everyone. We need more affordable housing, we need more social housing, we need more starter homes, and brownfield sites are the perfect location for these. We don't need any more out of town Legolands built by the major developers who are building undersized houses, overpriced houses with undersized roads, undersized garages, for what? And then the people move in. There's no infrastructure. There might be a shop or a chemist on the entire estate, and then we have the brain surgeons and the local authority looking for ways to punish them for using their cars. Here in Northampton, trying to get into the town centre is almost like entering a war zone. You don't know who's going to get you first. Is it going to be the enforcement officers? And I like that. Enforcement officers, why did they change them from traffic warden? Oh, yes, it is because they now have a plethora of uh, of, different methods of extorting money from people. That's what they're about. And what is the result of that? People don't go into the town centre, and our town centres have died. That was very clever of them. And we are seeing more and more and more migrants being given priority over people who live here, people who have contributed or their families have contributed for years, decades, generations, being leapfrogged by criminals. How is that acceptable? Why is it that people are not kicking up about this en masse? Because it's all well and good that we finally have a few people in Parliament who are speaking up and doing their best, and I'm sure that they will, but they can't fight this fight alone. They need the support of the masses, and the masses do not want this. We were never consulted or asked about Maastricht or Lisbon or when the floodgates opened or mass migration, mass immigration, or net zero, or the loss of so much of our farmland, or this agenda to drive our farmers out of business. And then in the King's speech, if you notice, they slipped it in about compulsory purchases. I know what they're up to. That's not compulsory purchases to build on. That's compulsory purchases to buy up farmland from the farmers that they put out of business. It is bait and switch effectively on an insidious and very, very sinister scale. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. I do try to answer anyone. If I don't know, I don't know. If it's an opinion, it's opinion. But to be honest, what matters is debate. I am such a lover of debate and democracy, especially as we're in a climate where people are scared or increasingly scared of expressing their opinion. That's not how it should be. Bravo. Not a cat in hell's chance. Absolutely. But we need to start the fight back now and not wait until they have sat back and began to introduce laws to enforce it on people. We need to fight this immediately and stop it before it even starts. AI is little more than trailer trash. Oh yes, no place to go. Yes, absolutely, and I would. What's this one? Okay. Who TJ? The latest plan here. Okay. Right, it's time for people to come together and start blocking the boats. Let's go down to Dover and stop this problem. We could get hundreds, if not thousands, of people. Nothing will happen unless we make it happen. And as I said, time is of the essence, because the mere suggestion of raising groups of people to object to something is going to be a serious offence in the not too distant future. Already, I believe that there are people who have been not just cancelled, but set up because they speak up about issues that they do not want discussed, or maybe they've got a little bit too close to the mark. And this goes back decades, but it's actually getting worse. So yes, I agree, and I believe that we need to speak up about this. This is greater than any individual. This is about our nation state. And something that I do find really irritating It happens on more so on TikTok than on YouTube or Facebook, and that is when I'm making an argument about immigration, and there's always the few who appear and they just say, well, you don't look English, so why don't you want other people to come here? It's almost as though their mindset is that because my parents emigrated here, that somehow I will have the same attitude as these left wing virtue signaling hypocrites who are happy to open the floodgates. Well, I am not happy to open the floodgates. I believe that not only should we close the door, but I believe that we need a task force to actually and actively pursue every single illegal immigrant who is here, and they either go into secure accommodation or they leave. They should not be allowed to wander around this country and cause all of the horrors that they are causing in our nation, that are being covered up by our woke police, by our treacherous police commissioners who pander to the left, by our left wing media, namely the BBC, who demand money with menaces from innocent people so that they can finance their lies. And we need to speak up, because if we don't, there's going to come a time where we will wish that we had, but it will be too late. And this, to me, this puts the tin hat on it. Just the suggestion of having any of these people in our homes, I don't want them in our communities. They are destroying our inner cities. They are destroying our culture. They are destroying our environment. And we are being forced not just to tolerate it, but to pay for it. They must be literally laughing all the way to the maternity home, because this is the situation that we're at. People, hardworking people here, struggle to have a family, and meanwhile, there's a demographic out there that 66% of them are on benefits, sat at home breeding. Now, is there anyone anywhere with any logical chain of thought who can think that that is acceptable? Because it is not. On a positive note, what's his name, Chowdhury, was found guilty today. Sentencing is in 2 weeks' time. I don't know if he's been given bail or not. I've been busy all day. So if you do know, let me know if he's been given bail or not. Because if he has, I'd like to see if what he's going to do in the next 2 weeks, and if he intends to make a nuisance of himself at this proposed march in London on Saturday. So I don't know what the situation is there, but he has been openly expressing his contempt for our country for years, and he has been allowed to get away with it. Put the shoe on the other foot. And just to ensure that we don't offend anyone, let's direct our conversation to Scientology, shall we? Now, if Scientology were directing its followers to pursue young women, if they were teaching their followers that sex with a girl is permissible provided after her first period she's considered sexually mature to marry, if they were teaching their followers that we are to be destroyed in any way, shape, or form, and in order to get there, they should lie, they should do anything they can to lead us into a false sense of security, but they must continue to undermine our culture, our society, our race, our belief, everything. Would it be fair to say this belief, this Scientology, should be banned in any decent, civilized Western nation? Because you can't literally put out 90% of a fire. Unless the fire is put out completely, the fire will continue. Just a thought. Where are we now? Okay, so On that note, I will be looking into starting a petition against this locally here in Northampton. Whether it's just Northampton, the borough of Northampton, or Northamptonshire, I'm not sure. Depends on how people further afield want to work on this. I do believe that we need to object to this in a strong, loud, and unified manner as soon as possible, because in my opinion, just the very suggestion of enforcing these people on, on homeowners, tenants, who knows, up and down the country, um, it just does not bear thinking about, and the time to act is now. I think that's all for today. If you have any input, or if you would like to get involved in fighting against this, please get in touch, either on whichever platform you're on, either through YouTube or Facebook, or directly. And I'll be delighted to hear from you, and I will always endeavour to reply. That's all for now. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.